Welcome back to All Talk. I'm Kevin Dietz. As we stand just 19 days away from one of the most pivotal elections of our time, I want to take a moment to talk about the importance of your voice and your vote. This is our opportunity to shape the future of our community, our state, the nation. Voting is not just a right, it's a responsibility. It's your chance to express your values, your priorities, but being an informed voter is just as crucial. We all need to take the time to learn about the candidates and the issues on the ballot, understand the candidates' positions and how they align with your beliefs. Your vote matters. Every election can be decided by just a handful of votes. We've seen it time and again. This one will likely be no different. So I encourage each of you to engage in discussions, seek out trustworthy information, make a plan to cast your vote. Let's make these 19 days count so we can ensure that our voices are heard loud and clear. You can give us a call. Tell us who you're voting for, what your top issues are, and why. 1-800-859-0957. What's your big issue? Share your thoughts. We're all in this together. Let's bring in our friend Roshini Rajkumar, political strategist, attorney, and host of the Crisis Files. Good morning, Roshini. How are you?
Good morning, Kevin, and I'm so glad you're taking time to urge people to vote and really help them become more discerning. I applaud you for that.
It really is interesting because, a lot of us are going to be going to vote, and a lot of us, when we get there, are going to be looking at names we sort of recognize but don't really know. Down ballot. I'm not talking about, for president or maybe for Senate or Congress, but we don't do a great job of going through the issues and the candidates in advance of going into the polls. And I think it's important to do that.
It really is. And sometimes it's a phone a friend kind of a thing. I've had situations where I don't have school age kids anymore. I've asked friends who do about the school board elections. It doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to vote for the exact person my friend might tell me, but asking around kind of when you see those yard signs, who is that? Look them up. Everyone should have some sort of social media handle and or website. So there's really no excuse for becoming informed. And of course, I think there's no excuse for not voting. So you've got to vote in whatever way you're going to do it, early, mail-in, on Election Day, which to me, Election Day is like a holiday. I think it should be a federal holiday, and I find it a very joyous day. You see your fellow neighbors out there voting, great conversations, and it's all kind of living out what our framers put down on paper almost 300 years ago.
I love going on election day. I like getting my sticker and sticking it on my sweater and letting people know that I voted. I do.
I can see you doing that.
I love the whole experience of it. I really do. And I don't know. This year there's early voting. I don't know if I know I'll vote in person. I just don't know if I'll go in on the 5th or I'll go in the days leading up to the 5th. Just to make sure. I don't think I would miss a vote. It'd take a lot for me to miss a vote, but it's interesting. I think more people are voting early, more absentee ballots, and I think one thing about absentee ballots is you can kind of sit down and put out your pamphlets and your newspapers and your information and your computer and kind of go through who's running and who you want to vote for. It gives you kind of time to sift through it. I know that the League of Women Voters still puts out incredible information, voter guide information, especially on the statewide level. And going through and reading who the candidates are, who they say they are. It's not like these negative ads where they're telling you who somebody is. This is the candidates in their own words describing why they're running and what their position on each issue is and why. It's really helpful, I think.
It's so helpful. And, just my suburban paper I was reading the other day, there's an open seat for county commissioner, the county in which my suburb is. And the paper is just this local paper, not a lot of resources. They did a nice job of profiling each of the candidates, the Republican, the Democrat. They happen to be party affiliated. And you heard in their own words, so direct quotes from them. So short of actually being able to meet some of these people, reading about them, sitting there with the information, those voter guides, those are really, really good things to do. And, it's also kind of, there's that feeling of fun and community. And you've talked with me long enough to know I'm kind of a geek when it comes to politics and voting. But there is a new sense of renewal, I think, in our country whenever you are part of the process. And the main way of being part of the process is to vote.
So Michigan has moved from a Democratic lean to a toss-up. That's how close things are in Michigan. And Donald Trump has been gaining on Kamala Harris. But now Donald Trump has kind of stepped in it a little bit. He said the rest of the country is going to be like Detroit if Harris wins. And immediately the Harris campaign put together commercials on that saying, look, Donald Trump, thinks you're a terrible city and whatnot. And then Kamala Harris was here doing a radio talk show with Charlemagne the God, who has an incredible audience. And she's coming back Friday, and she's bringing Barack Obama with her. I mean, it's really they're pulling out all the stops down the stretch here. But these candidates got to be careful not to make an unforced error.
Right. And I would say both sides, both vice president and the former president, have made many unforced errors. I mean, communication matters. This is the time to go with your strengths. If policy is your strength, which a lot of people give Donald Trump credit for that, go with the things that you believe in that are organic and authentic for you to talk about. Same with Kamala Harris. What are those policy things that differentiate you from President Biden? What are the things that you're wrapping your brain and your arms and your heart around? The voters want to know. So I know that both camps are doing a lot of different kinds of media, trying to get at all of those different audiences, the Gen Zs, the Ys, the X's, everybody. But really it comes down to, no matter what the flash or the packaging, who are you as an individual? Who are you as a leader? And what are you going to do for voters? That's really the basic thing. So it doesn't matter whose show you're on. I mean, of course, Kevin, I want everyone to come on with you, but that's the host of that show isn't the one in the voting booth. It's you, the individual. You have to make the decision about whichever office and what candidate or candidates you will vote for. So it's a very personal decision. It's kind of fun for me as I observe all this and someone who commentates on this stuff to see some of those steps and some of the home runs that both sides have been able to pull.
Yeah, Trump made that first statement here in Detroit. Then in Chicago, he said this.
I've been talking about for the last year about Detroit and how horribly it has been. It's just horrible because we've been talking about Detroit's coming back for 40 years and it's never come back.
So he kind of doubles down on it. We only have about 45 seconds left. But how do you get a candidate to sort of move back to the issues that are working for you?
Yeah, someone's just got to stop him from that. Look, from my time in Detroit, I love that city, and I know it's been on a comeback, and it's doing well. The last thing it needed was Trump to say that. But I think people who know Detroit and Michiganders know where the facts are. But you really just have to have people around you that help you edit. And in some cases, you're not editable, which
Right.
I think both of these presidential candidates have shown.
Roshini Rashkumar, political strategist, host of the Crisis Files. Thanks so much for your time this morning. And go vote.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, quick break. We'll be back with more All Talk in just a minute.